Hello, friends. Welcome you all. Today we are going to discuss Indian polity prelims questions based on the topic historical background of the Constitution. If you analyze last 10 years prelims question paper, there are at least 8 to 10 questions related to historical background of the Constitution. So here we are going to analyze at least 10 to 14 questions of historical background of the Constitution. Let us begin with the question number 1. Which of the following statement is or are correct regarding with Pitt's India Act of 1784? Here, statement number 1. It establishes the double government by differentiating the functions of Board of Control and Court of Directors. Statement number 2. The British government was given supreme control over companies' affairs in administration in India. We have to select the correct answer using the quotes given below. That is option A 1 only, B 2 only, C both 1 and 2 only, D neither 1 nor 2. If you take statement number 1, yes, this statement is right. Why it is right? Since it allowed the court of directors to manage the commercial affairs, and also Pitt's India Act of 1784 created a new body that is called as Board of Control. This Board of Control to manage the political affairs. Therefore, it establishes the system of double government. And also, if you take statement number 2, yes, this statement is also correct. Why it is correct? Since the British government was given the supreme control over companies' affairs and administration of India. That is, the company's territory India were for the first time called as British possession in India. Kindly note the word British possession in India. And also, it empowered the Board of Control to supervise and direct all operations of the civil and military or government or revenues of the British possession in India. So, based on the discussion, answer for the question is C, both 1 and 2 only. Let us move on with question number 2. Here we have to identify the correct statement regarding with Indian Council Act of 1892. 1892. That is very important. Let us see about 1892. Statement number 1. It provided for the direct election of some non-official members in central and provincial legislative council. Statement number 2. It increases the functions of legislative council and gave them the power of discussing the budget. Statement number 3. It provided for the first time the association of Indians with executive councils. Let us analyze the statements. One has to note that we have to identify the correct statement from the given options. If you take statement number 1, this statement is wrong. Why it is wrong? Let us see. This statement is wrong. It provided for the, kindly note down, it provided for the nomination, not election, of some non-official members in central and provincial legislative council. Only nominations, not elections. Therefore, this statement is wrong. If you take statement number 2, yes, this statement is right. Since it increases the functions of legislative council and gave them the power of discussing the budget. One has to note that there is no supplementary questions. Therefore, this statement is right. Let us move on with the statement number 3. This statement is wrong. Why it is wrong? Let us see. Indian Council Act of 1909, famously called as Morley-Minto reforms. That act only provided for the first time for the association of Indians with the executive councils. So therefore, you can eliminate 1 and 3 from the given options. Therefore, D eliminated, C eliminated, B eliminated. Therefore, answer for the question number 2 is A 2 only. Is the right answer for the question number 2. Let us move on with question number 3. Consider the following statement regarding the Indian Independence Act of 1947. Here we have to identify the correct statement. That is important. We have to identify the correct statement. That is statement number 1. It declares India as a sovereign state and it provided for the governance of the provinces by the Government of India Act of 1919 till the new constitution were framed. And also statement number 3. It designated the Governor General of India as constitutional, that is nominal head. Here we have to identify the correct statement from the given options. Let us take the statements. If you take statement number 1, yes, this act, Indian Independence Act of 1917, declares India as a sovereign state. This statement is correct. If you take statement number 2, the statement is wrong. Since why it is wrong? Since it provided for the governance of the provinces by the Government of India Act of 1935, not 1919. Therefore, this statement is wrong. Till the new constitution were framed, the Government of India Act of 1935 will be followed. And then, if you take statement number 3, this statement is right. Why it is right? It designated the Governor General of India as constitutional nominal head. Therefore, this statement is right. So, 1 and 3 is right. The answer would be C, 1 and 3. Or else you can go by elimination method also. Through 2 is wrong. Therefore, obviously, D eliminated, B eliminated, A eliminated. Therefore, answer for the question number 3 is C, 1 and 3 only. Let us move on with the question number 4. Consider the following statement with respect to Government of India Act of 1935. It provides for the establishment of All India Federation. Statement number 2. It introduces the diarchy in the provinces. Statement number 3. It provides for the establishment of a Reserve Bank of India to control currency and credit of the country. Here we have to identify the incorrect statement. Kindly note the word incorrect statement. So let us see with the statement number 1. If you take statement number 1 regarding with the Government of India Act 1935, this statement is correct. Since it provided for the establishment of All India Federation consisting of provinces and princely states as units. If you take statement number 2, the statement is wrong. Why it is wrong? It introduced the diarchy in the central, not the provinces. It abolishes the diarchy in the provinces and also introduced the provincial autonomy in its place. So this is very important related to Government of India Act 1935. Therefore, the statement is wrong. Therefore, you can eliminate D and A. The remaining B and C. Obviously, option 3 is right. Yes, this is right. Government of India Act 1935 provides the establishment of Reserve Bank of India to control the currency and credit of the country. Therefore, answer would be 1 and 3 is the right answer for this question. That is question number 4. Let us move on with the question number 5. Here, consider the following statement with respect to evolution of constitution. Though it is not the historical background, it is a kind of historical background. If you read the history book, then you will find it is also a historical background question. Let us discuss the statements. The idea of the Constitution Assembly for India was put forward for the first time by Motilal Nehru. And if you take statement number 2, the Constituent Assembly was constituted in November 1946, formulated by the Cabinet Mission Plan. And if you take statement number 3, Dr. Sachidananda Singha was elected as the permanent president of the Constitution Assembly. Here we have to identify the correct statement with respect to this question by the following options. Let us analyze the question number, statement number 1. Okay, if you take statement number 1, this is wrong. Why it is wrong? Since the idea of the Constituent Assembly for India was first time put forward by the M.N. Roy, not by the Motilal Nehru. Therefore, this statement is wrong. Therefore, you can eliminate option C and B. And let us move on with the question number, statement number 2. The Constituent Assembly was constituted in November 1946, formulated by the Cabinet Mission Plan. Yes, it is based on the Cabinet Mission Plan. Therefore, the statement number 2 is right. If you take statement number 3, Dr. Sachidananda Singha was elected as the temporary president, not permanent president of the Constituent Assembly. Therefore, this statement is wrong. Therefore, answer for the question is 2 only is right answer. 2 only, that is A, 2 only is the right answer for this question number 5. Let us move on with the question number 6. Consider the following statement regarding, once again, the question is based on the Government of India Act of 1935. This is important act since bulk of articles were borrowed from this act. So let us discuss about the act. Statement number 1. It provided for the establishment of a Federal Joint Union Service Commission for 2 or more provinces, and it abolishes the diarchy in the provinces and introduced provincial autonomy in its place. Statement number 3. It extended the principles of communal representation by providing separate electorates for depressed classes, women and labor. Statement number 4. It introduced for the first time bicameralism and direct election in the country. Here we have to identify the correct statement from the given options. Let us take statement number 1. It provided for the establishment of Federal Joint Service Commission for 2 or more provinces. Yes, this statement is right. It provided, this act provided. And also, just now we have discussed that it abolishes the diarchy in the provinces and introduced provincial autonomy in its place. Therefore, this statement is also correct. And also, this act, Government of India Act 1933, extended the communal representation by providing separate electorates for depressed classes, women and labor. This statement is also correct. So let us see about statement number 4. This statement is wrong. Why it is wrong? Statement 4 is wrong since the Government of India Act of 1919 only introduced its first time, that is bicameralism and direct election, not the Government of India Act 1935. Therefore, you can eliminate D, C, B. Therefore, answer would be A, 1, 2 and 3 only. And so for the question number 6 is 1, 2 and 3 only. Let us move on with the question number 7. Consider the following statement about the Government of India Act of 1858. So kindly note down 1858. Let us check with the statements. Statement number 1. The Board of Control and Court of Directors were abolished. The Act created an Indian Council of 15 members. The Secretary of the State was to sit in the Parliament. And fourth statement, the armed forces of the company were transferred to the Crown. Here we have to identify the correct statement. If you take statement number 1, yes, this statement is right. Since the Government of India Act 1858 abolished the Board of Control and Court of Directors, and also this act created an Indian Council of 15 members. Therefore, statement number 2 is also correct. If you take statement number 3, yes, this statement is also correct. The Secretary of State was to sit in the Parliament. This statement is also correct. What about statement number 4? This is kind of a tricky since most of the aspirants may not come about this, since the armed forces of the company also were transferred to the crown. This statement is also correct. Therefore, answer would be D 1, 2, 3 and 4. All the statements are correct. Let us move on with the question number 8. Consider the following statement about the Charter Act of 1853. Here we have to identify the correct statement with regarding of Charter Act of 1853. Let us check with the statements. Statement number 1. The executive and legislative functions were separated under this act. Statement number 2. The consent of the Governor General was made necessary for all legislative proposals. All vacancies in India were to be filled in by competitive examinations. Few Indians were associated with the Legislative Council. Here we have to identify the correct statement. Let us analyze the statement number 1. Yes, this statement is correct. The executive and legislative function was separated under this act only. That is, by the Charter Act of 1853, the separation of executive and legislative functions were carried a step further by the provisions of adding, that is, additional members of the councils for the purpose of legislation. Therefore, this statement is right. And also, the consent of the Governor General was made necessary for all the legislative proposals. This statement is also correct. One has to note that the council in its legislative capacity was to consist of 12 members. Of these, including the Governor General, the Commander in Chief, 4 members of council and 6 legislative members. And also, all vacancies in India were to be filled in by competitive exams. Therefore, this statement is also correct. If you take this act, that is Charter Act of 1853, no Indians was associated with the Legislative Council. Therefore, statement number 4 is incorrect. Therefore, you can eliminate A and D. The answer would be C, 1, 2 and 3 only is the right answer for the question number 8. Let us move on with question number 9. Consider the following statement about the Governor General of Bengal. According to the Regulating Act of 1773, let us analyze the statement. The Governor General was under direct control of the Court of Directors. The Governor General of Madras, the Governor of Madras and Bombay were kept under the Governor General of Bombay. The Governor General in Council consists of 15 members. Here we have to identify the correct statement from the given statements. If you take statement number 1, this statement is correct. Why it is correct? The Governor General was under the direct control of the Court of Directors. That is, if you take Regulating Act of 1773, in the field of executive government, the status of the Governor of Bengal was raised to the Governor General, and also its council would consist of 4 members. In this body was vested the civil and military administration of the presidency, and also government of all the territorial acquisition and revenues in the kingdom of Bengal, Bihar and Orissa. Here, the Governor General in Council was given the power to direct and control the presidencies of Madras, Bombay in the matter of war and peace. And also, the Governor of Madras and Bombay were required to send the regular updates to the Governor General of Bengal, and also information connected with the government's revenue and the interest of the company. Here, the Governor General in turn was under the control of, the direct control of the Court of Directors, and kept it fully informed of the affairs concerning with the interest of the company. Therefore, here, based on our discussion, statement number 3 is wrong. Why? It has consisting of 4 members, not 15 members. Therefore, you can eliminate D, C, B. Answer would be A, 1 and 2 only. So let us move on with question number 10. So based on our discussion, let us move on with question number 10 regarding with the Charter Act of 1833. So we have to identify the correct statement here. Charter Act of 1883, and we have to identify the correct statement. Let us go through the statements. Statement number 1. The company was deprived of its monopoly of trade with India. The Governor General of Bengal became the Governor General of India. The Act provided for the codification of laws in India. Here we have to choose the correct statement, right? Let us see. Statement number 1. The company was deprived its monopoly of trade with India. No, this statement is wrong. You can eliminate D, C and A. So you are getting the answer. That is B, 2 and 3 only is correct. Anyhow, let us go through the statements. The Governor General of Bengal became the Governor General of India. Yes. The Charter Act of 1833 made the Governor General of Bengal became the Governor General of India. Also, the Governor General in Council was to control, superintend, direct the civil and military affairs of the company. And also, Bombay, Bengal and Madras, other regions were subjected to complete control of the Governor General of the Council. And also, one has to note that the central government was to have the complete control over raising the revenues and expenditures. And also, this act, Governor General in Council was given the power to legislate for the whole of the British territories in India. These laws were applicable to all persons, British or Indian foreigners or others, and to the servants of the company. They were enforced by all courts in India. This act provided for the codifications of the laws in India, which means there are several types of laws before 1833. There were the English Acts, Presidency Regulations, Hindu laws, Muslims laws, and also customary laws. The company were deprived of its monopoly trade with China. This act permitted the English to settle freely in India. So therefore, these are the discussions based on the question number 10, that is called as Charter Act of 1833. Answer would be 2 and 3 only. Let us move on with question number 11. Here this question is based on Charter Act of 1813. If you take question number, the prelims question, previous question paper 2019, you may find the question from Charter Act of 1813. So let us discuss few things related to Charter Act of 1813. Statement number 1. The company was to have only the political functions. Statement number 2. The Indian trade was open to all the British merchants, and the company was allowed to have territorial possession for another 20 years. Here we have to identify the correct statements. If you take statement number 1, this statement is wrong. If you take statement number 2, yes, Charter Act of 1813 made the trade was open to all the British merchants. Therefore, this statement is right. Yes, this statement allowed the territorial possession for another 20 years. That is called as Charter Act of 1833 also. So here let us see some facts related to 1813. This 1813 renewed the company's charter for 20 years, but it asserted the sovereignty of the British Crown over the Indian territory held by the company. The company was allowed to have its territorial possession for another 20 years. The company was deprived of its monopoly of trade with India, and also it was allowed to continue its monopoly of trade with China for 20 years. The Indian trade was open, that is, thrown open to all the British merchants. So these are the important facts related to 1813. If you take statement number 1, under the Charter Act of 1833, the company was to have only the political functions. The Indian possessions of the company were to be held in threats of British Crown. Statement number 1 is presented in Charter Act of 1813. Therefore, you can eliminate A, C and D. The answer would be B, 2 and 3 only for the question number 11. Let us move on with question number 12. Consider the following statement regarding with the Charter Act of 1793. Here we have to identify the correct statement. That is very important. A regular statement number 1. A regular code of all regulations for the internal government of the British territory in Bengal was framed. The concept of civil law was universally applied. Statement number 3. The Indians were given position where they could share the authority with the Europeans. Here we have to identify the correct statement. Let us check with statement number 1. If you take Charter Act of 1793, this statement is right. And if you take statement number 2, yes, the concept of civil law was universally applied. Therefore, this statement is also correct. If you take statement number 3, the Indians were given position where they could share the authority with the Europeans. No, this statement is wrong. Therefore, you can eliminate D, C and B. Therefore, answer would be A, 1 and 2 only. So, let us see about Charter Act of 1793. The regular code of all regulations that could be enacted for the internal government of the British territory in Bengal was framed here, and also the regulations applied to the rights, persons and also properties of the Indian people and bound to the court to regulate their decisions by the rules and regulations contained therewith. And also this Act of 1793 laid down the foundations of the government by the written laws and regulations in British India in place of personal rule of the past rulers. One has to note that the Indians were not given the positions where they could share the influences or authority. The Indians were actually excluded to satisfy the demands of the Englishmen for their jobs. So based on our discussion, answer would be A, 1 and 2 only. Let us move on with the question number 13. Consider the following statement. Again, I have presented you a question related to Pitt's India Act of 1784. The statement number 1. The Act establishes the Board of Control to guide and control the work of the Court of Directors and the Government of India. Yes. And then, if you take statement number 2, the Act laid the foundations of central administration. And statement number 3, the Act stated that the presidencies of Madras and Bombay were independent of presidencies of Bengal in all matter of war and peace. Statement number 4, the office of the Governor General and the Commander in Chief were to be united in the same person. Here we have to identify the correct statement. If we take statement number 3, obviously it is wrong. Why it is wrong? Since it is not independent, it is under the control of Governor General of Bengal. Therefore, you can eliminate D, C, B. Therefore, answer would be A, 1, 2 and 4 only for the question number 13. We have already discussed many things related to Pitt's India Act 1784. Let us move on with question number 14. Consider the following statement regarding with the Regulating Act of 1773. This is also discussed. Anyhow, let us see. Statement number 1. The Act provided for the establishment of a Supreme Court of Justice at Calcutta. Lord William Bentinck was the first Governor General of Bengal. Here we have to identify the correct statement. If you take statement number 1, yes, this statement is correct. If you take statement number 2, the statement is wrong, since it is not the Lord William Bentinck. Warren Hastings was the first Governor General of Bengal. Therefore, you can eliminate. Therefore, answer would be A, 1 only is the right answer for the question number 14. Let us see more facts related to the Regulating Act of 1773. It provided for the establishment of Supreme Court of Justice of Calcutta to give justice to the Europeans, their employees, and the citizens of Calcutta. One has to note that Warren Hastings was the first Governor General of Bengal, and this Regulating Act of 1773 did not work smoothly in practice. Its defects and also weaknesses were exposed when it was put to working, and also the supervision of the British government was ineffective, and the Governor General had to face the opposition of his council who united against him, and also this act he had no power to override them, though in case of an equal division he had a casting vote. And also one has to note that disunity of the council prevented it from solving the internal and external problems of serious nature. And also this act it had to open face deadlocks which impeded smooth working of the administration. So these are the drawbacks regarding with the Regulating Act of 1773. So with this we are concluding this discussion. Kindly go through all the questions and kindly note down the answers. So we hope it would be very useful for your preparations. We'll meet in the next class. Thank you all. Have a good day.